So, if you don't have a chilling unit, you want to be able to cool your water down, you just freeze up a few bottles, throw them on in. Here we go. Oh yeah. So this is going to take a few minutes to really cool off. It's plenty cold right now, like I said, at 52 degrees, somewhere in there with the well water coming out. But give them 10-15 minutes, it'll cool off even more. Sometimes what you can do if you want to ease into it, you can hop in right now like this and sit in here a little bit while the water's actually cooling off. So that works too. Try not to lose any of them. Woo! There we go. All right, so starting to cool off a little bit. It's a good thing I'm not sitting on one. Might be a little uncomfortable. Woo! There we go. I'll tell you, when that sun's beating down on you, it's a whole lot easier to do this. When you got the sun shining, the air temp's warm. You know, sometimes you see people having their hands out like this. It's nothing wrong with that. One of the things you got to look at is this kind of tub. Galvanized tub like this doesn't work quite as well in the winter in Minnesota because the benefits of cold therapy. You know, I know there's tons of stuff out there on the internet right now. I've been doing this, it'll be coming up on 6 years now, and it's kind of a big deal, right? So people are really getting into it, which I'm excited to see, because it's the benefits are amazing, really. I mean, there's so many benefits out there with, you know, lowering your inflammation, speeding up your metabolism. The one thing out there, if you do the research, I don't think there's a workout that you can do out there that's going to burn as many calories as getting in an ice bath. So if you're like, hey, I want to burn calories, I want to lean out, all you got to do is hit the ice tub in the morning. Just get in the ice tub and then get out, change clothes, go to the club, do your workout, and naturally warm your body temperature up. That's going to work for you. You'll be warming your body temp up, and that's the best way to do it. The other thing is you're going to find is you're going to create some brown adipose tissue, if you want to be scientific about it, but it's basically brown fat. It's back here in your back. When you're a baby, you have a lot of it when you're first born, and as you get older, you lose it. If you want to keep it, you do cold therapy, and if you got brown fat going on, it's going to burn through that white fat, and it's going to help you lean out. You're not going to see people that are cold tubbing a lot, as long as they're not swallowing the refrigerator all day long. They're probably going to lean out over time. You're going to see some people out there that they're going to thin out, they're going to lean out. So if you're looking for that, that's one thing that you can be doing. The other thing is back to the inflammation deal. You're going to lower that inflammation. You're going to release those endorphins, and you're going to get pretty amped up. So a lot of times people are thinking, you know, I'm waking up, I'm groggy. I had a couple days this week. One day I woke up and I was just groggy as all get out, and I'm like, I was acting like a little bitch, you know. I'm like, I didn't feel like doing anything, didn't want to do anything. You know what I did? I hit the cold tub. When you hit the cold tub, your mentality completely changes. You develop grit. You're gonna be able to handle circumstances that come your way a lot easier, because if you can get in cold water first thing in the morning, you can deal with whatever life throws at you throughout the rest of the day. So it's really it's kind of a mentality that you're going to develop that's going to really help you and help move you through some things out there. So that's a big part of it. If people are going through anxiety and they're like, oh, I'm just anxious all the time, get in the cold tub. And a little disclaimer here, if you have never been in the cold tub, start out taking some cold showers. You know, just, you know, Wim says it best, a cold shower a day keeps the doctor away, you know, so he's all about it. So Wim Hof has got me started on this way back in the day, started doing his breathing technique. I do that breathing technique every morning to get oxygenated, because the presence of oxygen is what? The absence of disease. If you've got oxygen going in, you got disease staying away. You're gonna sleep better at night. One thing I would encourage you, probably don't do a cold tub right away, right before you're gonna go to bed, because you're gonna be pretty amped up. Research shows that the rush that you get from cold tubbing is similar to what you would get if you did cocaine. Now, I'm not a cokehead, I'm not into drugs. I still believe what Nancy Reagan said, just say no, back in the day when I was growing up. And I'm not into doing weed, cocaine, any of that stuff. I have a couple cocktails once in a while. I keep that to a minimum. I think for good optimal health, you got to be careful what you're doing to your body. But the thing is you're going to get a rush similar to that you would if you were doing coke. And instead of lasting, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 minutes, you're going to be amped up for 4 to 5 hours. So if I'm doing this first thing in the morning before I'm heading out to go take care of business, then you come home in the afternoon and you're like, hey, I need a little pick-me-up. You want to get amped up again? Hit the tub again. Take a cold shower again. There's numerous days where I'll take several cold showers. I'll take several cold tubs just because I like how I feel when I'm doing this. And the one thing is, if you want to activate the mimetic dive reflex or whatever it's called, basically it gets you amped up and it stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system. The best thing I've found to do that is to put my head under. And when I normally get in the tub first thing, I like to put my head in. Now it's a little trickier when you got frozen water bottles here hitting you in the face. They kind of hurt a little bit, so I'm going to try and get through this without smacking my noggin too much. But if you put your face in, you really get going right away. That always gets you amped up. One of the things you'll find, doesn't happen all the time, but if it's really, really cold in the wintertime and you put your head in here, sometimes I feel like I'm chewing on ice cream cones. You know what I mean? Where you ate the ice cream a little too fast, you got too excited about eating that ice cream, and you got an ice cream headache going on. So that's one of the things to be aware of. But going back to the disclaimer, before you start doing any of this stuff, work your way into it. Know what your health is. I mean, you're your best health advocate. You're your best doctor, okay? So nobody knows your body like you know your body. And I'm real big on that. Know thyself, whether that's mentally, whether that's physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever. Know thyself. It's important to know who you are. And if you've got health issues going on, you're going to probably want to do a little homework before you start hopping in the cold tub. I had a family member of mine, and she saw me doing cold ice baths, and next thing you know, she came home from work on a hot day and decided she wanted to get in a cold tub, and hopped in a cold tub, and kind of freaked her out a little bit. So you got to think about stuff before you just start jumping in. But once you start doing it, you're gonna be like, this is great. I mean, I remember as a little kid, we were always jumping in the lake. It wasn't like it was a big deal. When it got cold in the fall, we were down there swimming. When the ice was going out in the spring, we were down there swimming. So it was kind of a normal thing for me, but I got away from that quite a bit because, as you get older, you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be uncomfortable. People start getting fat and lazy. Half of America, probably more than half of America, fat and lazy and lethargic, sitting on the damn couch eating potato chips, wondering why they don't have any ambition. Well, sometimes you just got to get off your ass and do something. And sometimes you got to look in the mirror. One of the things that I do a lot is I go without a shirt around. We have family get-togethers. Everybody knows that B-Rad's not wearing a freaking shirt. If it's warm outside, I'm not wearing a shirt. If it's even halfway cold outside, half the time I'm not wearing a shirt. And people always say, why don't you have a shirt on? You know why I don't have a shirt on? Because I wanted to be able to look in the freaking mirror when I was 50 plus years old and not be disgusted with myself. There was a few times in my life I started to develop a little bit of a paunch, if you know what I mean. Guys joke about it and say, oh, if you had a shed like mine, you'd build a tool over it, or it's just a gas tank for a sex machine. You know what I say? I say you're just making excuses for being fat. That's what I say. And people are like, well, that's not very nice. And I said, well, when I was 10 years old, I asked my stepdad to tie my shoes for me. I said, hey, can you help me tie my shoes? He looked at me and said, if you can't tie your shoes, you better quit eating so damn many pancakes. You know what? I snapped to attention like that, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to be that fat little kid anymore. I'm going to have some discipline in my life, and I'm going to start doing things, pushing myself away from the table maybe after the first couple of pancakes instead of trying to finish all of them. Maybe getting up and doing something to stay active. It's not a hard formula. People are always like, well, I've got this problem and that problem. I said, most of the time we just have the problem of we just have to develop some grit in our lives. We have to develop some discipline in our lives. And if we develop discipline in our lives, we're going to be able to go further in life. And the one thing that I always look at is that if I hold myself to a higher standard, I'm going to feel better about myself. I want to be able to look in the mirror at 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years old and go, you know what? I still got it. You know what? I might have a little gray hair. I might be a few years down the road, but you know what? I'm still kicking ass and taking names. And I think that's a mentality that we should have. if you're out there and you're acting old and you're talking about, oh, I'm so old or I'm so tired. I mean, I got people in their 20s come over and play volleyball with us and they're like, oh man, I'm so sore. I'm like, you think you're sore? I don't ever say this, but I'm thinking it. You think you're sore. It's how do you think you feel when you're 40, 50, 60 years old doing the same kind of stuff? You know, or barefoot, and I love to barefoot water ski. You know what? When you hit the water at 40 miles an hour, it hurts. You kind of twist up a little bit. Sometimes you got to pull your eyelids over the back of your head because they hit so hard they went over. Sometimes you swallow half the lake. But I love doing crazy shit. You know why? Because I want to feel young. I want to feel like I can still do anything I did when I was 18. And people will tell you, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't live. You should slow down a little bit. You know what? I'm not slowing down a little bit. I'm going wide open throttle. I'm going to go as hard as I can for as long as I can. And I think that's the way I want to live life. Now, if you don't want to live it that way, that's your decision. But I think mentality out there today is we have to have a mentality of being tough, being gritty, being able to push ourselves to new levels. And we have a lot of wimphood going on today in the world, and wimphood doesn't typically get you where you want to go. So, you know, if you want to get out there and boost things up a little bit, you want to boost your T levels, right here, baby. You put your boys in the cold water, you're going to boost those levels. It's definitely going to help you out. It's going to be an awesome deal. B-Rad Jr., I've been in here a while, haven't I?
Yeah, you have.
I feel like,
it's been like 15 minutes.
It's almost like a hot tub to me. I don't know. It's just, I'm so used to it, but sometimes it sneaks up on you too, and you start getting like, whoa, my endorphins are so amped up because I get in here and you start getting wild like you just had 5 shots of espresso or three Red Bulls, and you're amped up and you're rocking and rolling. So sometimes it kind of sneaks up on you, but I don't know why today it doesn't even feel that cold now that I've been in here. So it's probably because I'm getting numb. This is our Stay Uncomfortable logo, right? You got Stay Uncomfortable there. We got the Stay Uncomfortable hats going on. And we're trying to start the Stay Uncomfortable movement out there. You know why? Because if people are uncomfortable a little bit, you're feeling good about yourself, you're moving on in the game of life. If you're stagnant and you're at the point where you're like, geez, you know, I'm just kind of going through life, I don't think that's the best way to live life. I think it's better to live life stretching yourself, pushing yourself. I always have a saying, when you stretch the most, you're going to grow the most. That's what I talk about. You stretch the most, you're going to grow the most. So you get out of the cold tub, okay, and then we lost a few bottles. Throw those babies back in there. Keep it nice and cold. And then you do things that you don't want to do. So usually, typically, I got a pull-up bar. I'm big on doing pull-ups. I think that's a big deal. You got some kettlebells. You know, I'm not out here saying that I'm the most ripped dude around. Come on back. Come on back. Come on. No. Go.
All right, what's going on, guys? Decided to do some cold therapy today. I haven't done nothing in an ice bath for a while. Usually just cold showers. But first few seconds are always going to be the most difficult. After that, all it is just getting your breathing under control. And then just focusing on, well, not focusing on the pain of the ice bath. It's not so much pain, but more just discomfort. And this is really a true test of your mental ability. I don't know. For me, it's easier to do this stuff on camera because there's more of an incentive to stay in here longer. And it's a little bit of a distraction from the actual cold part of it. But by now I've been in here for about 30-45 seconds and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm past the point now where it hurts. I don't really have, well, I'm kind of half-assing it here because I don't have my shoulders and arms in, but the feet begin to hurt after, well, at first. And for me right now, my feet don't really hurt anymore, but I'm kind of numb, so it's not really that painful anymore.
No, it kind of goes away after a while.
Yeah, kind of with anything that hurts, you know, after a while it just goes away. You do it long enough. But what's the science behind this? 2 minutes a day, 11 minutes a week.
Yep.
For the best results. The water's not on either. That's why.
It's not moving around.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, yeah, so we don't have the circulation going with the hose. A lot of times we don't have the water bottles in there. Just do the well water at 52 degrees and you keep that water moving, and that water's gonna, you can't develop a thermal. That's when I started out, I started in the river behind us in the winter, and the water was coming down, and it was, because it's moving water, it wasn't freezing much, and you'd have water that's just at the cusp of 32 degrees that's gushing over you like a pressure washer. And it really takes your body temp down in a hurry. You got to be careful doing that one. You want to have a spotter. That's why I always took Pepper, my trusty black lab, there down with me when I was doing it, in case she had to pull me out, grab a hold of her collar or whatever. But anyway, that's a whole different game when you start doing that kind of stuff. The people doing it in the rushing water, that's a whole different deal than just sitting in an ice bath, and you just take it to different levels, you know.
That's what the cold plunges are all about. I don't know if you guys have heard of those, but it's basically like a bath that you buy and you put water in it and then it cools it. But the reason why it's so cold is because the water is constantly circulating. Because otherwise your body will create heat around it, so that, like, now I'm like used to this water.
Yep.
So it's really,
if you move around a little, you get it colder. You know. Pepper still doesn't want to go in there.
this is actually more comfortable than uncomfortable, because it's like the sun is coming down and it's like heating my upper body, but then my lower body is like perfectly cooled.
Tapping out.
Yeah.
That's good. Nice ice bath there. He's got it. It's probably starting to cool off quite a bit. If you're coming out and you're in an area where you got deep wells like we do here in Minnesota, you're gonna have pretty cool water in here. I was in Florida last week, and you know, it's hard to get a cold shower in Florida. It's really hard to do, just because everything's so warm down there. You can't get the water very cold, but you do the best you can do. But most of the time in the summer, in warm climates, even if you're putting ice in there, it's going to be hard to get this water super duper cold. So we're going to be doing some crazy stuff out here in a couple months. In fact, I've seen October before where it's freezing in you know, mid-October, where we're getting 20 degree weather, 20 Fahrenheit. So we'll be getting some cold weather here. This will be freezing up. We'll be busting some ice. We'll be doing a lot of hot and cold therapy, which, you know, you just got to embrace the season. I mean, winter kind of sucks sometimes up here because, you know, it's cold and it's snowy and, you know, it gets dark early, but you just make the best of it. You say, you know what, I'm going to sit in the sauna, and then I'm going to come over here and hop in the cold tub, and then I'm going to go back in the sauna, or I'm going to hit the hot tub here. If you're going to be a B-Rad checking in. Hey, we don't only have just the hats at StayUncomfortable.com. It won't be long. We're going to have some other things there that you'll be able to purchase, one of which I'll show you here in a minute. It's a little tricky with all these ice chunks in here, but we got shorts and we got a cool logo on these. You guys got to see this. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. Stay uncomfortable, baby. I'm uncomfortable out here free balling it in the tub, man. This is awesome. All right. Stay uncomfortable.